So this is the why of 3D level design. And when I say the why, I mean more of the conceptual why of like, hey, there's a box or a crate on this level. Why is it there? Or like these other questions that I have on here. Why do I want to explore this level? Why is the light pointed that way? Why am I getting this emotion when I'm walking into this room? I want to give you guys a framework to be able to analyze 3D levels, as well as use it as a starting off point for designing your own 3D levels. I'm going to preface this whole thing of I am not an expert in 3D level design for video games. We'll get into that a little bit into the slides here. But, so how this workshop's gonna go is I'm gonna give you a little bit of background on me so you'll have some context for where I'm coming from. I'm gonna give you the questions, which is basically the framework for, analyzing and starting your own levels. And then we're gonna build some levels together in the demo project that I've provided. So a little bit of background on me. I went to college for theater and entertainment technology. For a living, I build sets, I design sets, and my day-to-day life is being in the sunless room that is a theater. I get in there, I have a design, I construct it, I paint it, I figure out how to light it, I teach other people how to do these things. I've had a lot of varied experiences in theater. That is a real crocodile or alligator. I honestly don't remember. We just tossed him in the green room shower until he was ready to, come on stage. Wild. The far side there is actually a picture from the rafters in the US Open's new tennis stadium. Or at least it was new in 2018 when I was there. And I've done a lot of other things, like the central canvas here. That is actually like a 8 by 12 foot canvas. Am I a little loud? Hey, if you're not redlining, you're not headlining. So that picture was actually taken about 30 feet in the air on some catwalks. So we reproduced a picture that was, this big to something you could see on a stage. Professionally, I have built over 40 theater sets, and I've designed around 12 of those. Honestly, the numbers are starting to escape me. This was in a 4-year period. We do 10 shows a year in the theater that I work in. These are a couple examples of shows that I have built. A couple of these I have designed. I picked the ones that looked the nicest. Some of my designs weren't the nicest, and I know why. But so this is kind of where I'm coming from. In Engine, I have been working on a couple projects with a couple colleagues of mine. The top couple images there to the left are from a jam game that we did in like, I don't know, it was 48 hours, was that one? It was a 3D, basically platformer where you were a goldfish in a bowl and you got power-ups to be able to jump around the map. Pro tip for any of you doing game jams. If Godot launches a new version of the engine and you rely on add-ons, don't update right before the jam. I placed over 10,000 trees and rocks within a span of 48 hours. Beyond that, our main project is Turntide Tales, which I have a couple images here from some of the stuff that I've built out in there. These are just prototype levels. We'll be putting real textures and things on them. Just wanted to give a couple examples of what we've done. If you're interested in finding out more, go to that website. So why does any of that matter? Well, the list continues to go on and on and on. I've learned a lot about understanding design language and how people can visualize that in a space. Obviously, it's a different realm, theater versus video games. However, you're interacting in a lot of the similar, a very similar way. You're either viewing it as an audience member, You're walking through the space. If it's a interactive experience, like let's say a haunted house or a theme park attraction or something like that, where you're experiencing it firsthand, it does tend to line up a lot with what 3D level design aims to do. And again, like some of the other things on this, iteration in practice. I have, as I've said, built over 40 sets. I have done a lot of design for this, where it's like, okay, I go from stage 0 all the way up to realized design where people are experiencing it, and then 2 weeks later, I'm tearing it down and building another one. A lot of this does carry over to game design. So to kind of give a framework for how it works in theater for when we're going to build a set. First off, we analyze the play. Whatever show it is, we want to know what the story is that it's trying to tell. Typically, once I've read it a couple times, I will go through and I will rough out the plan. Most of that's like, okay, where do I want the wall? Where do I want to angle this so that the audience can see this? This one scene needs to happen up high on a platform. So how do I design the set around that specific thing? Once I've got something roughed out, then I will meet and discuss with the director of the show to make sure that it's fitting with their vision of the show. A lot of times it's a collaborative process. The set kind of dictates what the director can do with their actors. And then once that's, we've gone back and forth, we've liked what the design is, I'll go through and I'll polish and finalize the plan, which may mean, I have to move a wall, I have to do something else, I have to change the color grading, or this just won't work for how the director had visioned how a person would walk through. So then we do those changes, it gets finalized, and then it gets built. And this process usually goes from, I get the script, a month goes by, I talk to the director, and then 2 weeks go by and I'm building it. So it can be that fast. It can also be for bigger sets, for things where it's like, oh yeah, I want there to be real rain on stage. That's a multi-month talk through of like, are you sure? This is the ending scene to the show. It's 30 seconds long, and that's all you're going to use this effect for. Are you sure? Okay, great. There's 10 hours of engineering down the drain. So that's kind of the process from the theater side. And this same kind of process works well for level design. So I want to go into the big questions before you start building levels. What is the overall goal of the level? What are the limitations and requirements of the level? And what feel am I trying to convey? Now these can have very vague answers, or they can have very detailed answers. But they should have answers before you start building the level. If you don't have answers to these questions, it can lead to like, I've just got this big open space. What am I doing with it? So the first one, what is the overall goal? Some examples of this might just be, I want to get from point A to point B. I want to teach the player a mechanic. I want to challenge the player based on the previous mechanics that I taught. I want to convey story beats. It could be a combination of things. Maybe it is like the tutorial level and you want to teach the player some stuff and also convey some story beats. It's having a plan for what those are. So to look at a couple examples from some popular games, what is the overall goal? In Hitman, wow, this image is wonderfully dark for this projector. So this is the scene at the chateau where there is a helicopter. Once you assassinate the target, you have to get out. And this whole section of the level is designed around this helicopter. You've got, as you can plainly see in the image, you've got half walls kind of surrounding this big green open space that you can hide behind. There's planters along one side. There's guards that are patrolling around the helicopter, but they have blind spots. So they designed this section of the level with the goal of making it a challenge, but also not getting to the helicopter. Another example of a goal, this is from Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. Perfectly color graded image again. This scene it has multiple goals, but basically, if you haven't played Darktide, it is a horde shooter where you run through levels of thousands and thousands of zombies running at you. Your goal is to get across the bridge. The way this level conveys that is with lots of the visual language of the chains, drawing your eye towards the end of this, as well as the grandiose scale of the Manufactorum, I think that's what it is. I don't remember this level specifically. And anything Warhammer 40,000 related's got to have some weird or stratum or Roman thing to it. But the multiple goals that it has is, one, you have to get across the bridge. Two, it portrays the grandiose scale of what you're dealing with in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. And three, it also shows like the desolation of where you're at. Right now, there's nothing on this bridge. As soon as you get halfway across, a giant horde of enemies spawns behind you. And not only are you fighting forward, because more spawn in front of you, you're fighting behind. So it's a multi-wave attack that you're dealing with. I want to talk about Mirror's Edge. What do you guys think the goal of their visual style is here? Yes. The red door? Yes. This style is designed for visual clarity. Anything that you can interact with or places that you are going have colors to them. I mean, the bottom right image there, I sure don't know what I'm supposed to do, but there is a bright red door at the end of this hallway. It's designed to focus the player in on different areas. And while there is some ambiguity to it, in the image in the top right, there is the option to go off of the bright red crane onto the thing that it's holding, onto the other crane's thing that it's holding, onto the nice big soft pad that definitely exists in real life. But you also have the option of traversing back onto those other buildings for further exploration, where you can be rewarded for, I think there's some like carrier packages that you can pick up. I played it on release, so it's been a few years since I've played it. But the style is one of their goals, is the clarity of knowing where you need to run in this fast-paced game. Another thing that I want to talk about for goals is teaching the player. So I'm a big Dishonored fan. If you haven't seen it, the lead game director has released an entire series where he plays through it 14 years after release with the other devs. So every level he brings on devs and talks about them. You should check it out. It's Raph. Can't remember his last name right now, and I feel terrible about it. But you can find it pretty easily just by looking for Dishonored playthroughs. In the very first mission, right when you step off the boat into Dunwall, you are presented with the option to play hide and seek with Emily. She's on the bridge, she's blocking you, it puts you into a cutscene, so you can just say no, that's whatever. Traditionally, first time through, most people will say yes. And this is its soft introduction to its stealth mechanics. You go down below, where it has a couple objects scattered around this area, and you have to hide from Emily. And while doing this, you can basically test out in a safe environment how to hide from people in the game. And then, spoilers, you get thrown in jail for murdering people, as you do in the game. And that is kind of like the actual first mission, is breaking out of this prison, where you are challenged to use those stealth mechanics that you learned just a few minutes earlier. This is not the first and only case, well, it's the first case of doing it in Dishonored, but it's not the only case of how the game teaches you about its world, its environment, and its mechanics. Later on in the same level, you are taken through the sewers and you were taken up above this one section of it with these grates on it, and there's guards having a conversation. And as soon as the door opens, they are greeted with a swarm of rats, which in Dishonored world, the rats will kill you and eat you entirely within a minute. Very gruesome. But it puts you into this semi-cutscene place to show you this is what the rats can do. And then later on in the level, it takes you to this open area. Guards are throwing dead bodies down into the sewer, as you do. And there's a pile of rats on the ground right next to a lever that you have to sit there and hold for like 5 seconds to open a door. This is challenging the player to think back and say, hey, I know the rats like to eat people. There's a pile of people right there. There's this big open space. I'll just hop over there and toss a body down. They'll go to that. I can open the door and get out. Again, the goal of this level was to teach mechanics to the player. So up next is what are your limitations and requirements? This is a little bit nebulous nowadays, but it could be your level size, your polygon count, whether you have collectibles in the level, whether you have specific destinations you want to go to, whether there's a time limit, or maybe there's some enemies that you got to avoid or fight. There's a lot of, again, these answers can be vague, but looping them into specific things can really help you set the stage of where your level is going. So in the blueprints, not to give spoilers, most of the rooms have to physically fit within the room layout. They are all fitting in that little grid, so each room has to be designed around fitting in that space. Whether they have puzzles in them or they're just pass-through places that may have little trinkets that you can pick up, they all have to fit within those spaces. In Overwatch, they have the limitations of performance. It has to run on pretty much anything because it's a live service game meant to reach massive audiences. It's designed around balance. Specifically, this map, you can see the center portion of the map, which is basically around the goal of it, is almost symmetrical. So that way, neither side has a advantage going into this fight. And they're designed around their map goals. So this one's a control point in the center where you can push people into the hole. It's a good time. But some of their other maps, like their push mode, which is like a payload that gets pushed back and forth, again, they have to be symmetrical to a sense. Like they visually are different, but they are symmetrical in their geometry. Then the last one I wanted to talk about was more of a hardware limitation. I'm not sure if anybody of you have seen it, but there's a video put out by Game Maker's Toolkit that goes over this more in depth. But one of their design limitations was their asset streaming, because their entire open world had to fit within like 32 megabytes of memory or something like that. So they chunked their islands here, and they streamed stuff in and out of memory continuously. And they realized on their Portland island here, they had this big road that ran all the way down the center of the island. And if you got in the right car, and you didn't break at all, and you just kept going, you could outpace the memory streaming, and the world would just disappear and start popping in as you drove. So their limitation was a streaming thing. They solved that by putting a big building in the middle of the island. Good design, very easy to do, didn't require any more engine trickery. Some limitations may carry over from other games. So here, we're looking at two different images from the Crash series, sort of. We've got a GameCube version, and the most modern remake. Now, obviously, the modern remake doesn't have the hardware limitations that limited everything that had to do with Crash when it first came out. But it still needs to look like Crash. It still needs to look like the world that you imagined because there was so few polygons. So you can see the color grading is basically the same. You have the same color on Crash, you have the same on-rails platformer style, but there's just a bunch more polygons, higher res textures, reflections. But the game itself is kind of the same at its core. So there's a limitation there of you have to make sure the game fits with itself, essentially, while still looking new and nice and draw in a new player base. Counter-Strike, another great example of limitations. All of their maps have to be balanced, but also they have to have 2 spawns. Defender gets a little bit of an advantage having, their protection points, hard points, bomb placement points, hostage locations put a little bit closer to them. However, all these maps are designed so that way you can't see all of the angles. So if you're a defender, there's not a physical way for you to have somebody looking at every single route to where you're defending and actually have a viable strategy. If you're, sitting down long and 4 people run down it, you're probably not going to win that fight. So there's some restrictions there. Next, we're going to go on to what feel am I trying to convey. These can be emotions. This could be your setting. It's really up to you what you want to depict to your players. Fear, awe, shock, joy, that feeling of I just walked out of the temple for the first time in Breath of the Wild. I come out onto this vista and I see this vast world in front of me. That feeling that you get of just like, whoa, there's so much to do, so much to explore. I am pumped to do this. Knowing that before you start puts you in a good spot to say, well, I know I really want to convey X, so maybe I will move this platform over here. Maybe I'll make sure the player walks through this one place that's framed perfectly so you can see X building in the distance. And then what plays into this is your setting, your time period, your age of that location, the location itself, the time of day. All of these things can matter dramatically for how your scene is going to look. So to talk about a few examples here. The original Five Nights at Freddy's, within its confines of development, is a perfect example of showing off claustrophobia, fear, isolation. It drops you into this room that is decrepit. There is supposed to be these happy pictures on the wall of all the things that have happened in here. But you also have these steel doors right next to you, and you have these cryptic messages from your boss saying like, hey, maybe keep an eye on those guys. They're coming after you. It is the epitome of just making you unsettled in one scene. You never leave this room in the first game. In the subsequent games, you go to different places, but that's we're not talking about that. In contrast, Life is Strange, in the first episode, you are taken into Chloe's bedroom to have a conversation after some traumatic things happened at their school. And it is the epitome of warmth and comfort, and it's an inviting space. It's messy, it's a teenage girl's room, but there's this wonderful warm glow coming through the window. There is just nostalgic pictures from when she was younger scattered about, and you're playing as a character who knew her 5 years prior or something like that. So it's supposed to evoke in you that, like, you know this person, but you haven't talked to them in a very long time. This example is Payday 2, which is very unremarkable as far as its level design goes. The levels are supposed to disappear. This game is about gameplay. Yes, you can memorize the layout and you can memorize where the guards are going to go, but this is supposed to be generic city environment. This could be any jewelry store. You could be robbing any bank. Yes, they give you the context behind it all. You got some wonderful voice actors giving you these stories in the mission select. But this is a great example of just making a lived-in environment. You've got what looks to be a standard like city street. Like I could walk down the street here in Boston and maybe see a couple buildings that look exactly like this. You've got a alleyway behind the store that's full of trash and litter and graffiti, and there's a couple boarded up windows and things like that. It's off of the street, so most people wouldn't see it, which is very common for most cities. So I think it's a good example of just like sometimes you do want the feel to just be everyday life. It doesn't have to make this huge impact because the gameplay in this game is what really draws people to the game. And then, I mean, I can't not talk about BioShock. It is, in my opinion, a masterclass in vibes and level design. And I mean, the first time you play the game and you're taken down into this underwater world, passing through all these underwater buildings, gives me chills. But they were able to, on really old hardware at this point, in hardware terms, convey this perfect, spooky, decrepit feeling of this fallen, rotting, what used to be a utopia under the sea. And I included an image from BioShock Infinite, because it has a DLC that does take you back to Rapture, of what it was. And what I like to point out in this set of images is it is the same place. Rapture after the fall has a lot less lights, a lot less warm tones to it. Obviously, there's a lot more rubble and stuff thrown about and damage to things. But you can get almost to here from here by simply turning off some of the lights. Maybe changing a couple of the textures. Instead of having the really warm wood tones, you desaturate them a little bit. And you're going to change the vibe entirely. So there can be a fine line between what you're going for and any other feeling that you can think of. So, the process that I use, typically, and this is, I am bare bones starting. I put the ground in. Boom. 90% of your level is already done. I can technically traverse from point A to point B because there is a ground there. I'll place the boundaries in. What's this? I can't jump off the side of the level anymore. Great. It's good for the user experience. Rough in the shapes of buildings and objects. Like if you're building a cityscape, I want to put like 20 boxes around, adjust their sizes, move them around a little bit, boom. That's a city. Play through and adjust the level. I'm going to run through it repeatedly. After I've roughed in these shapes, I'm going to be like, okay, where is there a pinch point? If I can't get from point A to point B, I need to shift some of these buildings around. Maybe I need to see the end goal from where I'm standing right when I start. Okay, what can I do to shift those around so that I can see it? I want to turn the corner and I want to see where these collectibles are. I can't do that right now. Okay, go through, shift it, play it again. Just repeatedly. Play through your own levels. You're going to hate your own levels. You're going to hate everything that you build. It's good. Don't worry. You're going to put that level down, walk away, wait 2 weeks, come back, and you'd be like, oh, this is great. After I played through and adjusted it, that's when I start placing in the temporary assets, the detail pieces, the trash cans, the trees, the fences, the various rubble, to really start to hone in on the feel of the game. And again, play through it every single time. Let's say I play through, or I've got a city, and I add some street lights and some benches and a couple objects here or there just to make it feel lived in. I play through it. What's this? This bench is in the way. I can't get through there. Great, a player's going to find that and hate you for the rest of all being. So, play through it, adjust it. Play through it, adjust it. After that, you're good. You're finalizing it. You're adding your final art. You're adding your final textures. And your level's basically complete at that point. It's just going through and making sure that it hits all those points that you laid out right in the beginning, and that it's still playable. On occasion, you'll get an asset that's really different than what you had planned for. Guess what you do? You play through it, and you figure out if it works or not. So, as an example, which you can find in the project, I put together a project that basically it has some collectibles, it has an end goal, and each challenge level in there is essentially it has these collectibles and the end goal, and that's it. It's everything to run except for the level itself. So I put together a test of it. So I went through and I added the ground. I added the bounds for where I wanted the player to be able to go. I started roughing in the buildings, the shapes of everything around there. So there's a little bit of a view from where the player character was. I was going for a claustrophobic cityscape. So, you see, got lots of tall buildings, it's nice and close, it's kind of claustrophobic. Let's make it even more claustrophobic. We'll add some various cables and signs and things to kind of bring it down a little bit. It's all gray, and I realized I should have changed the colors of those for these images, but it looks much better on here, so I guess that's a you problem. I also added some street lights and changed a little bit how the sun looked. I was like, okay, starting to like where this is going. And again, I'm playing through it every single time that I do this to make sure that I can see every spot that I've added stuff. Finally, I go in and I change the world environment. I add some fog, change how the light's looking. Wow, gray is really not good for this projector. That's okay, you get to see it on your own, in your own project. But I finalized all of the world environment things to really bring that feel of like, you are stuck in this very, very dense city. And this is, again, all just basic shapes. You can look at this and be like, oh yeah, that's basically a city. Like, swap out those boxes with building models, swap out the texture on the ground, it's a level. So let's do it. To go through the process ourselves, we need to answer the questions first. What is our overall goal? What are our limitations and requirements? And what feel are we trying to convey? In our workshop example, our limitations and requirements are going to be kind of already set, because that'll expedite the process. In the demo project that hopefully you all have at this point, there's a couple different levels. I would like you guys to open up the one called tutorial level and play through it. Get a feel for the character controller so you can understand the mechanics. And then once you guys have done that, we can go through and build a level with that character controller. If you have a mouse, there is mouse sensitivity setting if you hit escape. I built this with a mouse that has super high DPI, so when most people played it, they were like, why do I have to like move my mouse just a little bit and I'm spinning halfway across the nation? I play games at a way high DPI, so I'm used to it. If any of you guys are having difficulty with the wall running, don't use directional inputs. Just hit W. All you got to do is hold W to run forwards. If you give a left or right input while you're on a wall, it just nukes your momentum. All right. How do you guys feel about that? You kind of got a little bit of a feel for the controller, what it can do? Because it's great to design levels around what your movement can do. Yeah, you build up momentum over time, so if you stop at any point, it gets a lot more difficult to continue the wall run. But anyways, they played through it a little bit, got a feel for it. Our limitations and requirements, as I said, they're going to be kind of set in stone, as I already have some in the workshop level on there. Our overall goal is kind of also decided. Get the collectibles, get to the end. And really what comes down to is what feel are we trying to convey. In the workshop level, we're gonna do some basic stuff first off, just to get you used to some of the tools. So, some tips and tricks for while you're using some of this. For these, we're going to be using the CSG meshes and combiner and things like that. Vertex snapping, it was just added. It's a wonderful feature. You can hold B while you're moving them around, and you can click on a corner and drag it onto another corner, and it makes really nice seamless transitions between objects. It seems to only work with collision enabled on the CSG meshes. Not sure why that is. I didn't look into it. I find it's much easier to duplicate objects that I have in there. So if I'm not using a combiner where I'm putting a bunch of stuff under it, instead of having to set up a material on there and set the collision, which is only like 2 steps, but when you're doing that like 30 times, it adds up. So just right-click on it in the scene tree, duplicate, move it. Toggle local and global space while you're moving objects. It's kind of case dependent on what you're doing. Local space is great for when you're moving individual objects, so you can keep like your axes based on the rotation of the object. But if you select multiple objects, and you still have it in local space and you want to like rotate them, it will rotate each individual object around their own axes, which is traditionally not what you think of when you're selecting multiple objects and rotating them. Snapping is great for when you're initially placing things. It can get you, even space things. It can get you the same level every single time. You can disable it while moving objects around if you're you really want to hone in on one specific thing, just by holding control while you're placing it. You can hold right-click to navigate in FreeCam. It's wonderful. It's like playing Minecraft in creative mode, just by holding right-click and using WASD to move around your scene. Use nodes to organize your scene tree. I say this. If you look at some of the examples, the node tree is a mess because there's like 100 CSG meshes in one thing. Keep things organized. Label them. Even if you don't label every single box that you're placing, if you have like 20 streetlights, put them in a node that says streetlights, and you can collapse it in the scene tree, and you don't have to look at copies and copies and copies of the same thing. Lock objects after you're happy with their location. Along the toolbar on the top, there is a lock icon. You can select items and lock them, which means they're no longer selectable within the 3D scene, which is wonderful when you're quickly moving around the level and accidentally touch the ground, and all of a sudden you've moved the ground 5 meters to the left. You can undo fairly easily. But it's one of those little things of like, oh, well, maybe I didn't know I moved it 5 feet to the left, and now 100 meters that way, a trash can's floating above a vent or something like that. Sometimes it helps to work backwards. So if you have a finish point, start from the finish point and work towards the start point. It's kind of like if you're ever completing like a maze, sometimes it's helpful to just draw from the ends because you're going to avoid a lot of the dead ends. And then bake CSG polygons that are using the path option. CSG nodes are great. They're super manipulative, like manipulatable. You can do whatever you want. You can do a whole bunch of stuff with them. If you're using like the polygon with the path shape option, which means you have a CSG polygon and then you append a path node to them, and you go to move them or rotate them, it can really mess with the actual shape of the object because the path is actually changing. And especially if you move them with local on and you have both of them selected, they're going to rotate in opposite directions and the polygon is going to look like a smeared thing. I don't know how else to describe it. So let me, oh, hey, it updated on here. Nice. Let me go ahead and hop over to our project here. So I have the tutorial scene open here, but I'm going to go into our workshop scene. Maybe. Potentially. Oh yeah, this is good. What are you doing, computer? This is not my computer. This is my wife's computer. I only have a desktop. Here we are in the workshop scene. This is kind of the level that we can build together here. As you can see, the scene tree already has everything you need for the game to run. The basic world environment, directional light, a player character with the same controller, a respawn point. The collectibles are in a little container. They need to be in a container because I put code on it so it counts them. And then the goal and the death floor, which actually doesn't do anything. That is a mesh just simply telling you that's where you get respawned. It's hard-coded into it. If you look here, though, we have an empty node called level. You should try to keep all your stuff in here. Again, you want to organize your scene tree as you go. So in this level, we have these 3 collectible coins and our end goal right here in this nice bubble. Brought to you by GodotShaders.com. So first off, we want to make sure that we're going to put a ground in. Go ahead, add. Nice CSG box. Let's go grab one of those. Awesome. Hey, where's the Godot developers at? We gotta fix this shit. Yeah. If you're not breaking it, then obviously you're not doing it right. Let me bring this back up. Yeah, I am running this off of an external hard drive too, which may or may not cause stability issues. It's been a while since I've seen the load time take this long. You know, we're in the Microsoft building, so maybe we just blame Microsoft. You know, this is Windows 10, so they're not supporting it anymore. All right, looks like it saved most of my progress here. So let's do it again. Hey, it knows that I was trying to add it even. It's at the top of the recent thing. All right, so we're going to add our ground in. All right, there we go. Half our goals are already met. We can get from point A to point B. We can almost collect all of the things. We've got 2 of them that we can collect. We need some We could put some bounds in. I don't think we need to at this moment, because if you fall off, you're going to get respawned anyways. We want to be able to collect all of these coins, though. So this one up here, we need to make a little ramp to. So let's go ahead and we're going to rename this to ground. Add child. I want to add another box shape. Right now I have snapping off. Let's turn that on. There we go. It's a little nicer. Drag this roughly over into place. Make it a little bigger. Let's rotate it. Let's make it a ramp. All right. With that, our goals have been met. That's a level, believe it or not. You can get from point A to point B. You can go from coin to coin. You can get all the coins and finish it. Obviously, it doesn't have any, feel to it at all. It's not very exciting to run through, but it's something. I like doing this sometimes when I'm like, oh, I haven't built a level in a while. What's the bare minimum I can do to make this a level? You always have something that you can go through and play then, just to test mechanics. But let's make it a little bit more interesting. We know we can jump and we can wall run. So let's shrink this down. I'm going to go here and duplicate. Bring this right over here. And I'll make that a little bit bigger. Now we've got a little bit of an obstacle here. We can fall. There's some challenge to it. Sort of. Let's play through it and make sure that's doable. Ah, there's an error. What didn't we do? We didn't turn on collision. So, right there, use collision. And let's go ahead and make sure the rest of them do. And let's do it again. Oh, I wasn't expecting the sound output. That's cool. Okay, that's not how I was expecting to go off that jump. You know, it would help if I was playing off my own screen rather than the delayed screen right here, eh? All right, that's doable. Let's make it harder. Let's make it more complex. Let's take this and shrink it even further. In fact, let's make it a skinny pathway.
For the pre-cam?
Yes.
Can you change?
Yes. While you are holding right click, you can use scroll wheel to change the speed in and out so you can go faster or slower.
That's great. Basically like a sprint. Do they
Yes.
apparently with cap? I'll have to look at things from the farm.
Here again, I'm starting to use the vertex snapping. You can see it in action. I've got the object selected. Holding B, can grab onto the object by the corner, and it'll snap to the various corners that are available. And we'll do one more. I am now finally looking at the time since we went through this start of the presentation. It's only been an hour. So we're going to have plenty of time to do the challenges. So, again, here we have a level that's a little bit more difficult. It's a little bit more interesting. You can fall off the edge a lot easier. We'll play through it. Make sure that we can do it. I am not used to playing on a laptop. Oof. All right, it works. So let's say we want to, maybe we want to add another mechanic to it. We want to add the wall running into it. With the wall running mechanic the way it is, you kind of want to make sure you have speed going beforehand. So if I take this, shrink it down a little bit, maybe we select both of these, move them. Am I in local? I'm in global space. If you haven't played around with it, and nope, not trackball. This little box up here is the use local space and global space toggle. If I do local space on these while I have them selected and try to rotate them, it's going to get this, even though originally the object was like this. If I select back to global, it'll move the two objects as a unit rather than as components. Let me go ahead and duplicate this ground. We're going to rename it wall. Let's tilt it 90 degrees. Is that within range of our coin? It doesn't look like it. Drop it back here. That should be within range of the coin, but I get the feeling it's not going to be close enough to here, so we're going to extend this a little bit. And again, we've made a change. Play through it. Apparently I'm bad at my own game. So what's a way we could fix this? Let's just drop this a little bit lower. That's an easy fix. We could extend it further this way. We could give our player a little bit more runway. So maybe we extend this back a little bit so that way they can go there. That introduces here, where you could potentially skip a section of the level. So, always things to consider. I swear, I play video games. There we go. Ah! We know it's possible. So we've achieved our goals. How do we change the feel of these? We can add some textures here, which I have in the shader folder, a simple grid texture, or grid shader, I should say. I can throw on some of these. Just drag and drop it in here. And in that material, you can set parameters for the different colors. Again, thank you, GD, or GodotShaders.com. There's some wonderful stuff on there to quickly make your levels look good. Does this make my level look good? It's good for testing. You can at least see, where the 2 meter marks are. We can drop each one of these in here. And what we can do you should be able to, I don't remember if it's gonna, yes, yeah, I can do these individually. So same shader, but I can change colors depending on which object I have selected. And just getting some base colors in here can really affect how the level is. Obviously, these are just random colors picked on a grid, but if I go over to our blockout examples folder, example blockout 1 is what I built out for the blockout challenge 1. Very dark, and I'm sure it looks like nothing on the projector screen. So let's go up here and we'll kick on our directional light so you can actually see a little bit of what's happening here. So we have our world down here with a depth pass of fog that you can set within the world environment. We have basically the same color scheme with the grid patterns. We've got a darker one for the grounds, slightly lighter one for the buildings. We've got some brown tones put into some of these obstacles that I added in. And that's about it. But the level is supposed to feel drab and dark and not fun necessarily to be in. We go over to blockout example 2. Started building a castle. These are CSG meshes. I combined some things and baked them out to make the walls. The nice sloped roofs here are the CSG polygon with the revolve setting set, because it's actually like a... You can see the actual vertices here set in a point and then a triangle. And then just has the, spin, not revolve. I'm thinking of AutoCAD. So that can allow you to make some nice complex revolved shapes. Much brighter scene. Obviously, I didn't get time to texture everything. I got a little carried away with building out this demo project, to be honest. I think I've spent the past month on it. And I do mean a month because I'm off contract from work. So I was just like every day adding something new and adding something better and revisiting it. But there is enough textures here to get the point across of what I'm trying to build out as a example level. And then the final blockout example that I started building, our final level is supposed to be kind of an industrial space. So I started building out a little bit of a factory interior with walls. Here you can see where I'm using the CSG meshes to create these windows using the subtract feature. And I have not baked it out yet. So you get all these wonderful orange lines of all of the polygons that are available still. One thing I would like to point out with the CSG meshes is it's a wonderful tool. They are not performant. They are not designed for, it's not supposed to be your end game, meshes. You can bake them out, which is pretty simple. You just select the object, maybe. Do I have it locked? I do. There's a CSG tab up here. You can click on that, you can bake the mesh out. Once the mesh has been baked out, it'll pop up in the scene tree that I definitely organized, and I can just drag it out. There it is. The difference is I can no longer edit this shape. This is its final form at this point. So it's kind of one of those things of like, if you're building an object that you know you're going to reuse and reuse and reuse, and this is exactly what you want it to be, bake it out, instance it, and place it in your scene rather than building it out repetitively. And once you have the mesh baked out, you can just go to the mesh tab and add a collision shape. Tri-mesh is the slowest, but it is the most accurate, and it's great for static bodies. And then it's fine. You can run around in here. It collides with the character. You can wall run on the walls, so on and so forth. Save. Yeah. So for the rest of the time, I am here to help. So within this project, I showed you the blockout examples, but there's a folder for blockout challenges. Each one of those is basically the scene that I just built with a full level, minus the level. So if you guys want to give it a go with blockout challenge 1, there's some floating text right near the start with a prompt on what you should try to build. And then if there's questions or things that you have sticky issues with, of like, oh, why can't I move this thing like this? I'm here to answer those to the best of my ability. Yes?
So when you select a CSG, it gives you all these points. Can't you also grab the vertices or individual faces? I believe that's the thing you can do, but I can't find the... or am I just making something up in my head?
I don't know. Typically, when I'm using the CSG meshes, I am just dropping in the basic shape. And then if I do want to make something more complex, I'll use something like the combiner, placing things underneath of them and using the subtract or union features to get those different shapes. There is specifically, if you might be thinking of the CSG polygon.
Yeah, I just realized I think that's what I was thinking.
That will give you the vertices along one plane, and you can click and drag those vertices where you want, and you can hit Control while you're editing it to add more vertices to the shape. And it has a couple different features. So it starts off in the depth mode, so it's just going to give you basically a prism of whatever shape that you're making with your vertices. The spin will spin it, and path, you can add a path node to it so it follows it. Specifically in the examples, in the blockout example 1, I created some cables that dangle between the buildings. That's a polygon following a path. And then I know it's not super full, but there is an assets folder in here that have some of the things that I built for building the levels. You're welcome to use any of those to expedite your process. Those are instanceable scenes that you can drag and drop into your levels. If you have a ground plane in there, you can drag and drop them pretty easily. They will just snap to the ground. I think there is some snapping settings you can change on that as well. If you're trying to adjust any of the collectibles and the end goal and stuff, I do have them locked. I would prefer if they stayed that way. That's the challenge of it. It's pretty easy to unlock them, but please don't. If they're a millimeter out and I walk around and I see that, I'm going to be mad. Yes?
Is there a way to like equally space things, or would you just have to drag them and use grid snapping? Like, I can't select like 3 things and say, space these evenly. You need a tool or something.
I think you need a tool for that. See, I always get these confused because I have learned a lot of different 3D modeling programs. I don't believe there's a way to do it. I could be wrong. I am not infallible. But I believe the best way would just be to do grid snapping. Typically what I would do in those cases is I'll have one, I'll evenly space out the second one, then I'll copy both of them, evenly space out 4 of them. Then I can copy out 4 of them and copy it and paste. The more you can copy, paste, and duplicate, the faster you're going to be at building levels. Is why would you build out one thing 30 times when you could build it out once and copy it and paste it? Similar to one of our previous workshops earlier today, in the introduction to 3D, you could also make these into individual scenes. Just make a scene with the CSG boxes in there with whatever complexity that you want and instance those into your scene. In a level where it's like, this is it, I'd focus on your focal points. What are the main buildings? Make those the most detailed. If it's like during the day, it's kind of hard to use lighting effects to really bring attention to those, but maybe color. If they're individual buildings with like different functions, create a palette of colors. And maybe, you know, the town hall is warm tones, the shop is cool tones, the cemetery is green. Trying to create a visual language that the player can immediately look at a building, and regardless of seeing what the actual like structure is, they know it's this thing because it is this color. That can be really helpful. Depending on like how big of a town layout or something like that, you can get into like the player's still going to traverse the level, right? So, you know, what is their experience walking down one street versus another? Can you change the feeling of the street based on what are the objects in it? Yes? I have not used trench broom. I have seen the wonders that it can do.
You should try it.
For this one, I wanted to make it so it was all inclusive in Godot without another add-on, but it does have some wonderful features. Absolutely.
Like the orthographic view.
Yes. On some of my more open world stuff, I absolutely will go ahead and do pen and paper sketches, mostly of like specific points of interest. So if I'm building a town with a mountain in the background, I want to figure out what the scale of the mountain is based on the perspective of where I'm staying in the town. So I will sketch that out. Even if it's just like I drew a triangle and I drew some boxes in front of it, that can really help give you the perspective that you want to build and use that as a reference point as you're building out the level. Let's give it another couple minutes. Then what I want you to do is get up and swap levels. Check out other people's levels. And here's where you can start having a dialogue about what you think of their levels. Don't walk up and say, this is horrible, I hate this. That's not useful. That's not constructive. You're not analyzing the level with the framework that I gave you. You can say like, yes, this jump is a little harder for me to make. Maybe, you know, giving a little clarity on this area here so I know that I can land on this platform would be better. Or the collectible in this scene was kind of hidden. I didn't know it was there. I know it's here because I'm building a level in the same thing, but I couldn't find it in the level. Maybe some clarity needs to be given to the section where this certain collectible is. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff here that I've pre-built for you, like the controller, and it kind of set up a lot of the level. But with practice, you can do that too. With your own character controller, your own environments, everything like that. But with the concepts, I talked about it in the presentation, and just giving it a go, trying it, giving it trial and error here in the workshop, as well as trying other people's stuff, that you can walk out of here and say, regardless of what that guy said, I was able to build a level today. Maybe I didn't agree with what he said. Maybe I think his concepts are bad, but I built a level today. If you are interested, Turntide Tales is a game that me and Sam here have been working on for a while now as we learned Godot all the way back from like 2019, 2020 up until now. If you go here on our Discord. You can sign up to playtest it right now. I have used some of those principles in the playtest that's available. Or if you just want to stay in touch, we're on there. You can send us a message anytime. Just hit me up. My username on there is Szeszulski. It's got a little generic pirate icon. It's been that way for too long, probably. But if you want to discuss level design, if you want to discuss your own game, feel free to reach out, because I'm always willing to hear what your latest project is. It sounds like I might be making some other edits to this demo project as well, as Trench Broom seemed really cool back there, and I need to add that. Which, if you haven't been using add-ons, you're missing out. There's so many good things out there that can jumpstart your project, whether that's pre-built player character controllers, pre-built procedural generation, add-ons that help you build terrain, like Terrain 3D. I use that one a bunch. There's like one that we use in there that hasn't been updated in a while, but we updated it for rivers and things like that. There's lots of things that are available out there to make your levels pop with a lot less effort. And while I'm not saying that's a perfect fit for every game, if you're just blocking out a level so you can get a feel for it, do it. Use those things. Use the resources that you have to make the best level that you have with what you've got. Down the line, if you're not happy with something or you want to change something, change it. You've already got it built. You've already got it started. That's like 90% of it right there. But other than that, I hope you guys all have a wonderful rest of your convention. And if any of you have the, I'm going to say gumption, to continue working in this project and want to show off your other Blockout Challenges levels, I'll be around, and I am more than willing to play them. So, yeah, that's it.